Carl Jung warned us, when an inner situation is not made conscious, it appears outside as fate. The hidden danger of empathy. And for empaths, this warning cuts deep, because what feels like love can quickly become a trap. You carry others' pain, their wounds, their unspoken shadows, believing it is empathy. But Jung reminds us, it is not. This belief, noble as it may seem, can become a magnet for those who are unwilling to take responsibility for their own healing. They are drawn to you like moths to a flame, sensing that you will carry their burdens, absorb their pain, and ask for nothing in return. But this is not true empathy. This is self-erasure. True empathy does not require you to sacrifice your essence. It requires you to witness and understand without losing yourself. The danger is real. If you mistake self-erasure for empathy, you risk dimming your own light. Yet within this same danger lies the path of healing. To stand in your truth, to keep your light, and to love without losing yourself. Walking the razor's edge of light and shadow. You see, being an empath is not just a gentle gift. It is also a dangerous path. A path where your own light can become the very thing others resent, where your kindness can be mistaken for weakness, and where your willingness to heal can turn into a silent form of self-erasure. In the world of Carl Jung's psychology, nothing is ever random. The resentment you face, the hostility you feel but cannot explain, it all belongs to the deeper dance of the psyche, the clash between light and shadow. And this is why today, we ask the difficult question, why do empaths so often attract those who secretly resent their light? Why does your authenticity, your very presence, stir such discomfort in others? In the next moments, we will journey into Jung's world, a world where empathy is not weakness, but an archetype, where your sensitivity is not a curse, but a key to individuation, to becoming whole. So take a breath, settle into the stillness, and let us walk together into the mystery of why your light both heals and provokes. Shadow and light. Why empaths provoke resentment. When you step into a room, something happens, not because you speak loudly, not because you demand attention, but because your presence carries a quiet weight. Some smile at you warmly, drawn to your energy like a sacred flame. Others smile too, but behind their eyes, something contracts. A subtle irritation, a quiet resistance, a shadow stirring. Why does this happen? Why does the same light that comforts one soul provoke unease in another? Carl Jung gave us the key. He said, everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. This shadow is not simply evil, it is the denied, the repressed, the unloved parts of ourselves. It is the container of everything we don't want to see, the anger we hide, the envy we bury, the wounds we pretend don't exist. And when such a person meets an empath, the meeting is not neutral. Your light becomes their mirror, your openness reveals their defenses, your authenticity exposes their masks. It is as if your very being whispers to them, you are not living your truth. And instead of listening, they push back. They project. Projection, in Jungian terms, is when we see in another what we cannot face in ourselves. So when someone resents your sensitivity, they are rejecting their own buried sensitivity. When they mock your depth, they are denying their own depth. When they accuse you of being too much, what they really mean is, I cannot bear to face this part of myself. And so you, the empath, become the stage. You carry their unspoken drama. They admire you, and resent you in the same breath. They need your warmth, but they fear your illumination. This is the paradox of light and shadow. Wherever light shines, shadows sharpen, and your very presence becomes a catalyst. Imagine a dream. A radiant child walks into a dark hall. The child glows naturally, effortlessly. Some figures in the hall gather near, drawn to the brightness. Others shrink back, shielding their eyes, even hissing at the glow. This is not just a dream symbol. It is the reality empaths live every day. Your radiance forces others to confront the gap between who they are and who they wish to be. The result? Resentment. Not because you have done wrong, but because you are a reminder of authenticity, of openness, of vulnerability. And vulnerability is frightening to those who have buried their wounds. Think of it this way. Your empathy is not just kindness. It is not just a trait. It is an archetype. It is the vessel through which the collective unconscious speaks. You sense emotions, yes, but deeper than that, you embody connection itself. This makes you luminous, but it also makes you dangerous, not because you harm others, but because you awaken them. And awakening is rarely welcomed by a soul not ready to see. Your light becomes to them a silent accusation. It whispers, "Your mask is not real." It murmurs, "Your defenses are illusions." What person enjoys hearing that? Very few. So resentment grows. It festers beneath the surface. They may never say it aloud. They may even call you a friend, a partner, a beloved, but their unconscious is restless in your presence. Now let us pause here and ask a deeper question. If you are an empath, how many times have you wondered, why do I feel tension with this person when I have given them nothing but kindness? Why do I walk away from certain interactions feeling drained, diminished, misunderstood? The answer is not in your failure. It is in the archetypal pattern at play. You embody light, and light cannot help but cast shadows. This is not your fault, but it is your reality. Here is the first great lesson Jung would offer you. Do not mistake resentment as a verdict against your worth. See it instead as a revelation. Resentment is a signpost. It tells you that your presence has touched something hidden, that your authenticity has stirred an inner conflict in another soul. You are not failing, you are awakening. And yes, awakening often hurts. In myths and legends, this pattern repeats endlessly. Prometheus steals fire from the gods, bringing light to humanity, and is punished. Christ embodies compassion and truth, and is crucified. The bringer of light is always misunderstood. Your life may not carry such dramatic weight, but the principle is the same. To carry light is to stir shadow. And so, as an empath, your task is not to hide your flame. It is to understand this alchemy, to know that when someone resents you, it is not a sign you are wrong. It is a sign that you are shining. So let us begin here, at the edge of shadow and light. Where every empath walks, where your sensitivity is both your strength and your burden, where your presence is both a blessing and a challenge to those who meet you. In this paradox lies the truth of your path, and it is here that we begin our deeper journey. The wounded healer and the martyr's trap. There is a deeper reason why empaths draw such complicated reactions. It is not only because of the light they carry, but because of the wounds behind that light. Carl Jung often spoke of the archetypes that live within us. One of the most haunting and powerful is the archetype of the wounded healer. This is the paradox. You are able to heal, not because you have been spared suffering, but because you have walked through it. Your empathy is not naive. It is forged in fire, in scars invisible to the eye, yet etched into the soul. When people meet you, they sense this. They may not know why, but unconsciously, they feel this one has touched the darkness and survived. And that knowledge makes you magnetic. Some are drawn to you with awe, others with hunger, still others with hostility, because your very existence reminds them that suffering can transform into wisdom, and not everyone is ready to believe that. But here lies the danger. For every empath, there is a temptation, a hidden trap that Jung would call a complex. It is the martyr complex. You see, many empaths grew up in environments where sensitivity was double-edged, praised for caring, but criticized for feeling too much, loved when you sacrificed, ignored when you had needs of your own. Over time, you learned a dangerous lesson, that love must be earned through self-erasure, that harmony can only be kept if you carry more than your share, and so you gave and gave and gave. The world noticed this pattern. Unconsciously, others recognized it. Some came to you for comfort, others came to you for rescue, and a few came to you simply to take. You became the vessel for their shadows. They admired your warmth, but they also dumped their darkness upon you, and slowly, almost without noticing, you began to confuse empathy with sacrifice. You thought, if I just absorb their pain, they will heal. If I just stay quiet, harmony will remain. But Jung would say, this is not empathy. This is bondage, a psychic contract you never agreed to sign. Listen carefully, because this may be the most important truth of all. True empathy does not require you to disappear. True empathy does not demand your silence. True empathy is not self-erasure. It is presence. It is awareness. It is the ability to witness another's suffering without losing the anchor of your own soul. There is a haunting image in many dreams Jung recorded. A dreamer holds a candle in the darkness. Around them stand figures. Some reach for the flame to warm themselves. Others reach to blow it out. The candle is your empathy. The figures are the people you encounter. Some will cherish it, others will resent it. But the dream asks one question only: will you protect your flame? And here is the hard truth. If you live as a martyr, if you give without boundary, your light will not be stolen. It will be given away, piece by piece, until you stand empty. This is why resentment is so often part of the empath's story. Not only do others resent your light, but secretly, you resent yourself. For all the times you betrayed your own needs, for all the times you dimmed your own voice, for all the times you gave more than you had to give. Carl Jung warned of this shadow. He said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And for the empath, this is the true challenge. Not to heal everyone else, not to be the endless giver, but to accept yourself, to claim your right to exist as you are, without apology. Let us pause here and ask the questions that matter. How many times have you silenced your own needs because you feared being called selfish? How often have you carried the weight of others' wounds, believing it was your duty? And in doing so, how much of your own essence have you lost? If these questions sting, it is because they reveal the martyr's trap. But there is another way, a way that does not require you to choose between love and self-respect, a way Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole. And in that process, the wounded healer learns a new truth. Your light is not meant to be burned out for others. It is meant to shine steadily as a guide. Those who are ready will walk by that light. Those who are not will turn away or attack. But either way, you remain whole. This is the second great lesson for empaths. You are not here to be a martyr. You are here to be a mirror, to show others what is possible without losing yourself. And when you learn this, resentment no longer defines you. It becomes simply a sign that your presence has stirred the unconscious that your existence has reminded someone of the light they fear within themselves. So, we leave this chapter with a warning and a hope. The warning: beware of self-erasure disguised as love. The hope: true empathy flows from wholeness, not from wounds. To heal others, you must first refuse to abandon yourself. The shadow of the empath. Until now, we have spoken much about the shadows others project onto the empath, the hidden envy, the quiet resentment, the unspoken hostility. But to truly understand this dance, we must also turn the mirror inward, for yes, even the empath carries a shadow. Carl Jung was clear on this. He said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And this applies not only to those who resent you, but to you yourself. Because here is a truth many empaths resist. Your sensitivity can become a mask of superiority. Your ability to feel can tempt you into believing you are somehow purer or wiser than those around you. It is subtle, it is often unconscious, but others can sense it, and sometimes their resentment is not only projection, sometimes it is recognition. Think of the times when you thought, if only they could feel as deeply as I do, if only they were as authentic, as open, as real. Do you hear the hidden tone? It is the tone of quiet pride, the shadow of the empath. And when others sense this, they recoil, because no one wants to feel looked down upon, even when it is not spoken aloud. This is why the path of the empath is so complex. On one hand, you are targeted by the envy of others. On the other, you risk falling into the archetype of the rescuer. The savior who believes it is their mission to fix the world. This archetype is seductive. It makes you feel noble, holy even. But Jung would warn, it is just another trap of the unconscious. Because when you see yourself as the savior, you stop seeing others as whole. You deny them the dignity of their own shadow work, and you take on a burden that was never yours to carry. Imagine for a moment a dream where you hold a torch, guiding others through the dark. At first it feels noble, but slowly, you notice the faces around you. They are not walking. They are not even trying. They are waiting for you to carry them. And soon, your torch burns low, your arms grow weak, your spirit begins to crumble. This dream is not fantasy. It is the inner reality of many empaths who unconsciously take on the savior's role. Jung spoke often of individuation, the journey of becoming whole, and a central truth of this journey is humility. To integrate the shadow is to admit, I too am incomplete, I too am wounded, I too have darkness. When an empath forgets this, when you believe your light makes you untouchable, you fall into unconscious arrogance, and it is then that others feel justified in their resentment. So let us ask honestly, have you ever judged someone for not being deep enough? Have you dismissed another's struggle as shallow compared to your own? Have you secretly believed your suffering gave you more value than theirs? If the answer is yes, you are not failing, you are simply human. But this is where Jung's wisdom calls you deeper. To face not only the shadows others place on you, but the shadows you cast yourself. There is a paradox here. The more light you carry, the more carefully you must guard against pride. The more sensitive you are, the more humbly you must walk. Because the true strength of the empath is not in claiming superiority, it is in standing equal, in saying, I feel deeply, but I am not above you. I see your wounds, but I have my own. I walk with light, but I carry shadows too. Jung described this balance as the essence of individuation, the wholeness that comes when we integrate opposites, light and shadow, strength and weakness, gift and limitation. And so, The third great lesson for empaths emerges. Resentment is not always projection from others. Sometimes, it is a mirror of your own unconscious. Let us pause with this image. A mirror stands in a room. People come before it. Some see beauty, some see wounds, some see envy. But the mirror itself is not empty. It too reflects its own cracks, its own distortions. You are that mirror, and to be clear, this is not condemnation, it is liberation. For when you accept your own shadow, the resentment of others no longer wounds in the same way, because you no longer hide behind a mask of superiority. You can meet them eye to eye, soul to soul, in the shared knowledge that both of you are unfinished. This is humility, and humility, is what transforms empathy into wisdom. So we leave this part with another paradox. You are luminous because you have known darkness. But you must never forget that you still carry darkness. And in this awareness, you become free. Free from the trap of superiority, free from the burden of saving the world, free to simply shine and let others walk their own path. Energetic boundaries, loving without losing yourself. There comes a moment in every empath's journey when you realize the question is no longer, why do they resent my light? The real question is, how do I protect my light without closing my heart? This is where the practice of energetic boundaries begins. Carl Jung often wrote that the psyche is like a living garden. Within it grow flowers of beauty, but also weeds of chaos. The garden cannot flourish without fences, without care, without protection. And so it is with your soul. Your empathy is the garden. It radiates fragrance, warmth, nourishment. But without boundaries, others may trample it. Not always with malice, sometimes simply with ignorance. Yet the effect is the same. Your light dims. Boundaries are not walls. They are edges, edges that whisper, "This is where I end," and you begin. When you carry no edges, you absorb everything. The sorrow of a stranger in a waiting room, the anger of a co-worker, and the disappointment of a partner. Soon you cannot tell where their emotions end, and yours begin. This is the slow erosion of the empath, and it is dangerous. Jung might call it identification with the other. It is the unconscious merging of yourself with another's shadow. And when you live this way, you no longer carry only your own wounds. You carry the wounds of everyone around you. This is not compassion. This is collapse. True compassion requires strength. It requires standing in your own center so that you can feel another's pain without drowning in it. Think of the image of a lighthouse. The lighthouse does not sail out to rescue ships. It does not throw itself into the waves. It stands firm. It shines. And because it shines, others find their way. This is the essence of an empath with boundaries. You shine without being swept away. But let us be honest. Setting boundaries is not easy, especially for those who have been conditioned since childhood. That saying no equals rejection, that prioritizing yourself equals selfishness, that love must be earned by sacrifice. These old voices whisper still, and every time you attempt to draw a line, guilt rises like a tide. But remember Jung's words. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, and to become who you are, you must claim your right to exist without apology. Let us pause here with an image. Imagine a dream where you carry a lantern through a forest. Figures emerge from the trees. Some ask you kindly to share the light. Others demand it, snatching at the flame. Still others try to blow it out. What do you do? Do you hand the lantern away? Do you fight to protect it? Or do you simply hold it steady, letting it shine but not letting it be stolen? This dream is the test of the empath. Boundaries are not about closing the lantern. They are about holding it firmly, so that it can shine, for as long as it is meant to shine. Now, let us get practical. What does an energetic boundary look like in daily life? It might be as simple as pausing when you feel someone else's emotions flooding you, asking, is this mine or is this theirs? It might be allowing yourself to walk away from conversations that drain your soul. It might be choosing silence, not as withdrawal, but as self-preservation. And perhaps most importantly, it means giving yourself permission to be whole without needing to rescue everyone. Here lies another paradox. When you set boundaries, you will sometimes be accused of being cold, selfish, distant. But this is projection again. What they really mean is, you are no longer carrying my shadow for me. And that is their discomfort to face, not yours to fix. There is a story in myth. The healer who poured water endlessly from her jug into the cups of others. She gave and gave until the jug was empty. And when at last she looked down, she discovered the jug was her own soul. This is the danger of the empath without boundaries. Your essence poured out recklessly until there is nothing left. But when you learn to refill your jug, to drink from it yourself first, you discover the secret of true compassion. You cannot nourish others from an empty vessel. So here is the fourth great lesson for empaths. Boundaries are not betrayal. They are devotion. Devotion to your own soul. Devotion to the sacred flame within you. Because only when your light is protected can it shine long enough to guide others. Take this with you. Boundaries are not walls. They are the garden fence that keeps the flowers alive. They are the edges of your being that say, I can love you without losing myself. I can witness you without absorbing your pain. I can walk with you without carrying you. This is not selfishness. This is wisdom. And it is the very wisdom Jung longed for each of us to embody. The mirror archetype and the shadow ideal. There is an image that returns again and again. In Jung's writings, in dreams, in myths, the image of the mirror. For the empath, this symbol carries a profound truth, because you are, in many ways, a mirror. Think of what a mirror does. It reflects. It does not invent. It does not judge. It simply shows what is there. But ask yourself, how many people truly enjoy what they see when the mirror is held up? When you walk into a room, you carry this mirror unconsciously. Your authenticity reflects another's falsehood. Your openness reflects their defenses. Your depth reflects their avoidance. And the reflection is often too much to bear. This is why resentment arises. It is not you they reject. It is what they see in you that they cannot yet accept in themselves. Carl Jung once said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves, but not everyone is ready to embrace this. So when they feel irritation in your presence, instead of asking, what is this showing me about myself? They say, you are too much. The mirror is blamed for the image it reflects. In Jungian psychology, there is also the concept of the shadow ideal. This is the part of the psyche that holds all the qualities we wish we could embody, but have exiled. Someone may long to be compassionate, but fear it is weakness. They may yearn to be vulnerable, but shame tells them it is dangerous. They may desire authenticity, but their life has taught them to wear masks. And then they meet you, an empath, someone who embodies the very qualities they have buried. Suddenly, their shadow ideal stirs, and instead of saying, teach me, they say, how dare you? This is why the empath often feels caught in paradoxical relationships, adored and yet undermined, admired and yet sabotaged, loved and yet quietly resented. Because the mirror shows both the beauty of what is possible and the pain of what is missing. Let us pause with an image. Imagine a dream. You stand holding a mirror in a crowded hall. One person approaches, gazes into it, and weeps with gratitude. Another glances once, recoils, and storms away. A third shatters the mirror in anger. What do these figures represent? They are the archetypes of those who cross your path. The one who is ready to awaken, the one who is not, and the one who actively resists. And you, the empath, must learn. You are not responsible for their reaction. The mirror is not guilty for the image it reflects. But here is where it becomes even more subtle. Sometimes you yourself resent being the mirror, because being the mirror is lonely. You show others who they are, but rarely does anyone show you you. You illuminate the hidden truths in others, but who holds up the mirror for the empath? This is why so many empaths speak of exhaustion, isolation, even despair, because the very gift of being a mirror makes you both necessary and unseen. Jung would remind us here, the task is not to abandon the mirror. The task is to polish it, to keep it clear, free of distortion, to reflect with compassion, but without absorption. Because a mirror with cracks distorts the image. If your own shadow is unacknowledged, the reflection you give will be clouded by projection. But when you integrate your shadow, your reflection becomes healing. There is also freedom in this truth. Once you know you are a mirror, you stop taking reactions personally. When someone praises you excessively, you know they are projecting their own lost ideal. When someone resents you deeply, you know they are projecting their own rejected wounds. In both cases, it is not about you, it is about them. And your task is to remain steady, to reflect with clarity, without shrinking, without pride. So what does this mean for individuation, for the journey Jung spoke of? It means this: when you stop carrying the burden of others' projections, you reclaim your own self. You stop asking, what is wrong with me? And you begin asking, what is this showing me about them and about me? The resentment of others becomes a teacher. Their hostility becomes a signal. Their admiration becomes a lesson. And in this way, every encounter becomes part of your individuation. Take this to heart. You are a mirror, but you are not their reflection. You are a flame, but you are not their shadow. And when you hold this truth, you walk lighter. You no longer shrink under resentment. You no longer swell under admiration. You simply shine, steady, clear, true. From wounded healer to sage, the path of individuation. Every path must lead somewhere, and for the empath, the path leads toward individuation. Carl Jung described individuation as the process of becoming whole, not perfect, not flawless, but whole, a weaving together of all parts of the psyche, light and shadow, wound and gift, strength and vulnerability. For the empath, this journey begins in pain, but if you walk it consciously, it ends in wisdom. Think of the archetypal journey we have traced. First, the wounded healer. Your light is born from suffering. You know pain, and that pain gives you compassion. Then, the martyr. You risk giving yourself away, confusing empathy with self-erasure, learning, often the hard way, that love cannot demand your disappearance. Next, the mirror. You reflect others' shadows, their hidden ideals. You learn not to take their resentment personally. You discover the art of boundaries. And finally, you approach the sage. The one who carries light, but no longer fears resentment. The one who shines without arrogance, without collapse. The sage does not seek to rescue, nor do they shrink from hostility. They understand the paradox, that light will always awaken shadow, and that shadow must resist before it can transform. So they stand steady, neither demanding admiration nor fearing rejection. They simply embody what Jung called the self, the living center of wholeness. Here is a symbol to hold in your heart. A dreamer walks through a vast cave carrying a torch. Shadows leap on the walls. Figures emerge, some hostile, some grateful, some indifferent. But the dreamer does not flinch. They walk on, holding the torch high. The torch is your consciousness, your light, your empathy. The cave is the world, and the figures are the countless projections you will meet. But the sage knows the torch is not for them, it is for the path. This is the secret of individuation for the empath. To realize that your light is not a weapon, not a burden, not even a gift to be traded, it is simply who you are. When you stop fighting to prove it, when you stop dimming it to appease others, when you stop inflating it to feel superior, you finally become free. Free to shine without explanation, free to feel without drowning, free to love without erasing yourself. But let us be honest. This freedom does not come overnight. It is carved slowly, through trial, through mistake, through courage. It requires facing your own shadow, as much as enduring the shadows of others. Yet every resentment you encounter, every projection cast upon you, every accusation of being too much or too sensitive becomes another step, another signpost, another invitation to wholeness. Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." For the empath, this means becoming more than a healer, more than a mirror, more than a martyr. It means becoming whole. Whole enough to set boundaries, whole enough to admit your own shadow, whole enough to love without losing yourself, whole enough to shine without apology. Imagine yourself now. Years from this moment, you stand again in a room. Some smile at your presence, some frown, some turn away, but you are unmoved, because you no longer live for their approval, and you no longer shrink from their resentment. You stand in your essence, quietly radiant, deeply grounded, unshakably human. This is the sage. This is individuation. So here is the sixth great lesson. Resentment is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It shows you where others struggle and where you must remain steady. It shows you where you have boundaries and where you still need them. It shows you the mirror you are and the shadow you must still face. And when you embrace this, you no longer fear resentment. You honor it. You let it guide you deeper into your own wholeness. Take this with you. You are an empath. You are a light bearer. You are a mirror. But above all, you are a soul on the path of individuation. And the world needs your light, not because it is perfect, but because it is real. So hold your flame high, not for them, not against them, but simply because it is who you are. Your light matters. Shine without apology. We have walked a long journey together, from the first paradox of why empaths attract resentment, through the shadow of projection, the wounds behind the healer, the martyr's trap of self-erasure, the delicate work of boundaries, the mirror that both awakens and provokes, until finally, the sage, the one who shines without fear. This journey is not just theory, it is your life. Every sigh you have breathed when misunderstood, every tear you have shed when taken for granted, every quiet strength you have carried when others turned away. You see, the resentment you face is not a curse. It is a sign that your presence matters, that your light stirs the unconscious, that your authenticity challenges the masks of the world. And yes, it hurts, but in that hurt lies meaning. Because every empath is being called, not to dim, not to disappear, but to individuate, to grow whole, to transform from wounded healer into wise sage. Carl Jung once said, "As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being." For you, the empath, this is your calling, not to save everyone, not to carry what is not yours, but simply to kindle the flame of your own being, and in doing so, you awaken others, even those who resist, even those who resent, even those who walk away, because your light, once seen, can never be forgotten. So as we close this exploration, I want to leave you with 3 invitations. First, do not shrink. Your sensitivity is not weakness. It is the doorway to wholeness. Stand in it, with courage. Second, do not erase yourself. Empathy is not martyrdom. Boundaries are not betrayal. They are love in its truest form, love that includes yourself. And third, do not despair. When resentment rises against you, remember, it is not a verdict. It is a reflection, a signal of transformation. And a whisper from the unconscious saying, your light has been noticed. If this journey spoke to you, if you recognized yourself in these words, then you are not alone. There is a community of souls walking the same razor's edge between light and shadow, and here you are welcome. So I invite you now, subscribe to this channel so we can continue exploring the wisdom of Carl Jung together. Leave a comment below and share your own story of being an empath, your struggles, your breakthroughs, your light, and share this video with someone who needs it. Perhaps someone who has questioned why they feel both admired and misunderstood. Your voice matters, your story matters, your light matters. In the end, the world does not need you to be smaller. It needs you to be real. It needs you to be whole. It needs you to stand in your light. So shine, not tomorrow, not someday, now, because the world, though it may resist, is waiting for you.